Dear students, I hope you are all well and enjoying your online classes. Today we will start your new chapter, Separation of Substances, in which we discussed about various techniques to separate out different mixed substances. So, in our daily life, there are many instances when we noticed a substance being separated from a mixture of materials. Okay, so in example is given in your book that tea leaves are separated from the liquid with a strainer while preparing tea. Okay, this activity you often see in your home, separating tea leaves with a strainer. So this is also a process of separation of substances. And the same way, grain is separated from stalks while harvesting. Okay, milk or curd is churned to separate the butter. Okay, figure given in 5.2. So you can see in figure, okay, which are live in villages, those students can understand well this process also they seen in their houses. Okay, butter is taken one out by churning milk or curd. Perhaps you might have eaten salted dalia or poha. If you found that it had chilies in it, you may have carefully taken them out before eating. Okay, so you can see if you eat poha and you didn't like to eat chilies, so you get taken out from there. Okay, suppose you are giving a basket containing mangoes and guavas and asked to separate them. What would you do? Pick out one kind and place them in a separate container, right? Okay, so this activity you will be do when someone said that you have to separate out mangoes and guavas in a different basket. Seems easy, but what if the materials we want to separate are much smaller? Okay, if you can easily separate mangoes and guavas, okay, but the material are very much in small quantities as their size also. Okay, then mango or guava. Imagine you are given a glass of sand with salt mixed in it. Impossible even to think separating salt from mixture by picking out grains of sand by hand. Okay, so if you got the mixture of this, okay, salt mixed with sand, okay, so you have to separate out sand, so or separate salt from it. Okay, so it is not possible to separate by them with your hands. But why would we need to separate substances like this at all? Is what Paheli wants to know. Okay, now Paheli wants to know that why we need to separate substances, these substances. So for this, you have to do an activity in column first of table 5.1 are given a few processes of separation. The purpose of separation. Now the purpose of separation also come and the way separated components are used in mentioned in column 2 and 3 separately or respectively. Sorry. However, the information given in column 2 and 3 is jumbled up. Can you match each process with its purpose and the way separated components are used? Okay, so if you see this table 5.1, why do we separate substances? The separation process is separate stones from rice. Okay, first process is separate stones from rice. You easily see in your house this process also. Purpose for which we do the separation: to separate two different but useful components. Okay, what do we do with the separated components? We throw away the solid component. Okay, we just throw away the solid component which is stone from that rice. Okay, and this is purpose is to separate two different but useful component. Next is churning milk to obtain butter, to remove non-useful components. Okay, we just because these are not matched. Okay, that's why you have to match. We throw away the impurities or separate tea leaves To remove impurities or harmful components, we use both the components. So from this process, first if we see, we have to separate stone from rice. So stones are not an useful component. Okay, so first is matched with B to remove non-useful component. Okay, so we throw away the impurities. And in second, churning milk to obtain butter. Okay, so this is also, you can understand easily that milk and butter both are important for us. So you have to arrow match with A to separate two different but useful components. Okay, we throw away the solid component. So you solid component you have to write here. Okay, B which match with first, and we use both component, then A will be matched with third one. In last, separate tea leaves, then separate tea leaves, we have to remove the harmful component because tea leaves are not valuable. Okay, impurities or harmful, yeah, non-useful. Okay, it's, I think stones are harmful or A to C is matched, and then you have to match it with the impurities, harmful components. Okay, when you match it with harmful components, you have to match with, he throw away the impurities. Okay, so C will be matched with second. Okay, so when you look up in the book, you can easily understand. Okay, now we move ahead. We see that before we use a substance, we need to separate harmful or non-useful substances that may be mixed with it. Sometimes we separate even useful components if we need to use them separately. Okay, so this is Ninja is important, that why we need to separate substances. The substances to be separated may be particles of different sizes or materials. These may be in any three states of matter, that is solid, liquid or gas. So how do we separate substances mixed together if they have so many different properties? If they have so many different properties, how we can separate them? Okay, so you have to know about the different methods of separation. In this first method comes hand picking. Okay, so you have to do an activity. Bring a packet of food grain purchased from a shop to the classroom, or you can bring in your home. Now spread the grains on a sheet of paper. Do you find only one kind of grain, or on the sheet of paper are there pieces of stone, husk, broken grains, and particles of any other grain in it? Now remove with your hand the pieces of stone, husk, and other grains from it. Okay, you can easily do the stone picking from rice. Okay, it is the example, or this is the method of hand picking. The first method can be used for separate slightly larger size impurities like the pieces of dirt, stone, and husk from wheat, rice, or pulses. Okay, you can see in figure 5.3 also. This is known as hand picking because we use our hand to pick the impurities with the mixed substances or from grains. The quantity of such impurities is usually not very large. In such situations, we find that hand picking is a convenient method of separating substances. Next method comes threshing. You must have seen bundles of wheat or paddy stalks lying in the fields after harvesting the crop. Okay, especially if you belong with villages, you can see this easily. Stalks are dried in the sun before the grains is separated from them. Each stalk have many grains seed attached to it. Okay, if you see a wheat plant, okay, or you can see the crops of wheat, you easily uh, get knowledge about them. Each stalk has many grain seed attached to it. Imagine the number of grain seed in hundreds of bundles of stalk lying in the field. How does the farmer separate grain seed from those bundle of stalks? One may pluck mangoes or guavas from the trees, but grain seeds are much smaller than mangoes or guavas. So plucking them from their stalks would be impossible. Okay, how does one separate grain seeds from their stalks? The process that is used to separate grains from stalks, etc., is threshing. In this process, the stalks are beaten to free the grains seeds. You can see in figure 5.4 easily. Okay, and you can see this process in places. Okay, and you also support your parents sometime if you are belong to a village. Okay, in this process, sometimes this threshing is done with the help of blocks. Also, machines are also used to thresh large quantities of grain. Okay, if you go into the plain area, okay, there are many production in comparison to hill area. Okay, so they use machines for doing threshing. So these are two methods which we read today, and I hope you will be understand. If you have still some confusion, you can easily ask to me anytime. Okay, so next processes of separation of substances you will read in next classes. Thank you.